You feel like you're suffering from self-doubt, but it's actually not what you think. What I'm going to show you will surprise you. Not only that, there's good news. What you're feeling usually occurs just before a major transformation. I'm going to give you 3 steps that will not only remove the fear and suffering you're experiencing, it will accelerate the process of transformation so you can create the life you've always wanted. What people get wrong is that they think doubt is bad. Without your doubts, you wouldn't have made it this far. You would have perished before even reaching adulthood. The problem is that you're misinterpreting your doubts. About 16 years ago, I suffered from severe self-doubt to the point that I became depressed. But everything changed when I started learning NLP, Neuro Linguistic Programming. Now, it's difficult for me to even remember what that felt like. I will show you how I overcame crippling self-doubt forever so you can do it too. This first step is simple and easy because there's nothing you have to do. It's really an understanding, but don't let its simplicity and its ease make you think that it's not powerful. When you clear this up, it will have a major effect on your life because words really matter. The truth is, you don't doubt yourself. You are experiencing doubt, but that is not self-doubt. And here's why. You can doubt the existence of many things. You can doubt the existence of ghosts, and you can doubt the existence of aliens because we don't know those things to be true. But we do know you're real. You know that you're real. Words shape our experiences. We have an experience, we give it a meaning, and we give it a word. And every time we do that, we're actually categorizing the experience. And when we categorize experiences, it shapes them, it changes them. So every time you stamp a word or a phrase onto an experience and give it that meaning, that shapes your reality of it. That shapes what becomes real to you. So consciously, you can experience what we call a doubt. You can interpret that as that's a self-doubt. And then when you tell yourself that you're doubting yourself, this creates a lot of confusion, especially in your unconscious, because that can't be true. Your unconscious is sort of the reconciler. It can see what's real and what's not. So when you lie, the unconscious has to reconcile that. Now, you're not lying on purpose. But when you say you're suffering from self-doubt, that is not true. In a sense, you're sort of deceiving yourself. So when you keep telling yourself that and you keep interpreting the experience that way, you create this internal chaos and it just makes the problem worse. And it makes it even harder to figure your way out of that. So the truth is, you do exist. There is no doubting that you exist. There is no self-doubt because that is impossible. So the next time you experience what you would normally interpret as self-doubt, stop and ask yourself, what am I really doubting here? Because you're not doubting your existence. I came to this understanding when I was living in Los Angeles and I was trying to make my big dreams come true there in all the wrong ways possible. I remember thinking, what am I trying to prove? I kept feeling this need to prove something. And I asked myself, am I trying to prove my own existence? I already know I exist. This doesn't make any sense. Now, that was the beginning of me clearing up this problem, but it would be many more years before I was able to finally solve this problem. And how I did it was the next 2 steps that I'm going to give you. So what's actually happening is you're framing a meaning and purpose problem as an existential problem, when the truth is it's really a self-esteem problem. Now, hold up. I know when people hear that word, they want to just move away. They want to jump off the video because we tend to think of self-esteem as that thing that you had a problem with when you were a kid. Most people in their adulthood do not believe that they're suffering from self-esteem issues when almost everybody is suffering from self-esteem issues. And this is really where the self-doubt problem is coming from. So don't be afraid of the word and don't think that by using that word that you're immature or that you're a child. Everyone pretty much is suffering from a self-esteem problem to some extent. If you weren't, you would be absolutely fulfilled and happy without any loss in confidence whatsoever. And we all at times feel a lack of confidence. This brings us to the second step. Everyone wants more self-esteem and confidence, and no one seems to be able to get enough. Who doesn't want to feel really good about themselves? At the same time, no one seems to know where it really comes from. There's no shortage of self-esteem books. You can go to Amazon, look them up. There's going to be hundreds of them. I've never come across one that actually can tell you where it comes from. They tend to focus on the importance of it. And it also reminds me of a story that my mentor would tell. Steve Andreas went to a conference about self-esteem. It was a 3-day conference, and he sat through all the lectures throughout all 3 days. He was the keynote speaker. So he didn't speak until the very end, and he got up and said, hey, I've listened to many lectures. I've listened to them all. And everyone talks about the importance of self-esteem. Not a single lecture did anyone say how to get more of it or how to solve this problem. And so he challenged everyone right there to how do we solve this problem? And not a single person could give the answer to it. It seems as though he kind of cracked the code on this. I haven't been able to find anyone else who has ever written about where self-esteem comes from. I can explain to you where self-esteem comes from the same way I can explain to you where happiness comes from. It's not like we're sitting around and one day happiness falls on us. We do tend to think of it that way. We tend to think that happiness is something that we want to reach out there and get, or that we're going to sit around and wait until we're happy, like it's just going to magically happen. We sort of create these expectations about happiness, like it's just supposed to be here. Well, happiness comes from engagement. I suffered from depression. I went to therapy for depression. The first session of the therapy, the therapist asked me, what do I enjoy doing? And I said, well, I enjoy taking walks. I enjoy writing. I enjoy doing yoga. And he says, are you doing any of those things? No, I said, I don't have time. And he said, is there any wonder why you're depressed? You're not doing anything that makes you happy. You're not doing anything that makes you joyful. And I value happiness and I value joy, but my behavior was not aligning with those values. And this is where self-esteem comes from. When your behavior, when your actions align with your values, you get self-esteem. It's as simple as that. So if you think about things that make you happy, things that make you joyful, passionate, align yourself with any of those values. It could be values like kindness. When you're kind, you feel good about yourself. Why? Because you value kindness. And the same goes for confidence. Confidence is usually more specific to the values of competence and capability. When you feel competent, when you feel capable, you're confident. When you have something that you're engaging in that you feel capable and competent at, you get confidence naturally. It's a byproduct. You cannot go at confidence directly, though a lot of people try to do that. And a lot of gurus in personal development try to teach that you can go at confidence directly by saying affirmations or fake it till you make it. These things don't work. If you're faking being confident, that's the exact opposite of confidence. You're going to feel fake. You're just going to get really good at being fake. When you think about something as simple as driving, you feel competent at that, so you feel confident at it. You don't even really think about it. And that's how confidence works. You don't even give it a second thought. Confidence is not beating your chest and running around and screaming and doing power postures and positions and things like that. True confidence is you don't even give the thing that much thought because that's how good you are at it. That's how capable you are. When the first time you started driving, you probably didn't feel confident. Why? Because you didn't have the competence yet of driving. You weren't really capable of it to the extent that you were really certain about it. And then over the years, you built that competence, you built that capability to the point where you can be driving and holding on a conversation and thinking about other things. You can drive to work and not even remember driving. That's how confident you are at it. That's what true confidence is. So if you want more confidence, think about what it is you want to be more competent at and more capable at. As you build those competencies and capabilities, you will feel confident about that. You're not supposed to be confident at things that you're not competent at. Think about flying an airplane. If someone had only had one lesson, but they were very confident that they could fly, would you get in that airplane with them? I don't think that you would. You might be thinking that you don't feel confident in yourself. You don't have self-confidence. Capability and competence is where that comes from as well. You don't feel like a capable and competent person, therefore you don't have confidence. And this is where we start to feel that what we call self-doubt, because you don't feel like a competent and capable person, therefore you doubt yourself, therefore you lack confidence. In step 3, I'm going to talk about how you can feel competent and capable as a person, because you can't be capable and competent at everything. There is a limit to how many things you can build competence and capability in. For now, if you want to know more about your values, especially the deeper unconscious values that are really driving every decision you make, every behavior you engage in, there is a process for this, and I highly recommend it. It's called values elicitation. It's an NLP process, and there's a free PDF in the description of this video, or you can scan this QR code right here and get your hands on that free PDF where you can elicit your deeper values about anything that you want. You can elicit your values about certain areas of your life. And once you know what those values are, you can align your behavior and your actions to those values, and you will feel it instantly. Like I said, if you value kindness, the moment you do a kind act, you feel it. You automatically feel it, and you like yourself more because you're aligning with what's important to you, what you value. This is what I meant earlier, that your doubts are not a bad thing. Your doubts help keep you alive. If you doubt you can do something because it's dangerous or you haven't built the capability, that's actually a good thing. That's self-awareness. Many times people want to feel confident about something when they haven't built the competence. And that will just blind you. You will become arrogant. You will think that you can do things that you cannot do. So arrogance is really that confidence without the competence or capability. And you've certainly been around people like that. They think they can do everything, or they brag a lot. And then when it comes time to actually do the thing that they say they can do, they can't. And they're not any better off for that. So they're trying to go for the feeling before they actually do the work. As uncomfortable as doubt may feel, just know that it's part of what keeps you alive. It's part of what keeps you safe. It's there for a good reason. We do not want to eliminate all doubt. We want to look at things honestly and find out, do I need to build more competence and capability in a particular area? This is an important part of the learning process, to have that self-awareness, to know when you're not as competent or capable at something that you need to be. If you have a doubt come in, listen to that doubt and then pay attention to what the doubt is pointing at. Is it something you need to work at? Sometimes it's not. Sometimes doubts will come up and they're not reflective of what's actually true and what's happening. But that's what our conscious awareness is for, so that we can actually look at that and make an assessment of whether or not the doubt is pointing at something that we need to deal with. Step 3 is where we get into the really deep work. This is where the transformation happens. Because if you know your values and you are constantly aware of them and constantly having to put effort into aligning your actions and your decisions with your values, this can become rather tedious. This can become, it can wear you down quite a bit to be fixating on that 24/7. So what can we do about this? Well, let me give you a metaphor. If you're looking at a rock and you change your opinion about that rock, the rock doesn't change. It's still a rock. However, if you change your opinion about yourself, that actually does change you. If you think of yourself in a different way, you will change. Your behavior will change. You will feel differently. So what am I getting at here? You can look at your values once you know what they are and transform yourself into those values. What do I mean by that? So if you value happiness, but you don't believe you are happy, your actions are going to reflect that. If you value success, but you believe you are a failure, your actions are going to reflect that. Because you believe you are a failure, no matter where you go, you will find a way to fail. Now, some people would say, well, no, I would just act differently, right? We try to. That's what we often try to do. When we believe we are something we don't value, this is where it brings our self-esteem down. We feel really bad about ourselves. If I value success and I feel like, or believe I'm a failure, I'm going to feel bad about myself. I'm also probably not going to try very much because I believe I'm always going to fail. Not only that, if I try to challenge that belief by acting in opposition to it, meaning I'm trying to do things that are successful so that I'm not a failure anymore, this creates cognitive dissonance. And that is a very painful feeling, or it creates suffering. What is really happening there is you're challenging what you believe to be true and real. And what your unconscious is hardwired to do is not to make you succeed. And believe it or not, your unconscious is not hardwired to make you feel good. Your unconscious is hardwired to move you away from confusion and chaos and toward clarity. So if you believe you are a failure, you're clear about that. Your unconscious is clear about that. So it aligns your behavior to failure. To act against that would create confusion and chaos, which is what your unconscious doesn't want you to do. You hear people say, I sabotaged myself. That's what's happening. They're trying to act outside of their beliefs. Their unconscious is trying to keep them in alignment with their beliefs, because to step outside of it will make you feel lost. You are hardwired to survive. So if you feel lost, you're not surviving. It will feel like your life is being threatened. Now, you consciously know that that's not happening, but unconsciously, it feels like your life is in danger. And that's where all these fears and these doubts start to bubble up. Then you start thinking, I better not try anything, or I better not do anything, or I just can't. Now, you're probably wondering, how do you do this? How do you change these beliefs? Well, that's where NLP becomes extremely powerful. There is a particular model called the self-concept model that my mentor, Steve Andreas, created. In that model, you actually learn to restructure your beliefs. Your beliefs have a structure, so what you need to do is elicit that structure and then fill it with the content of what you want to believe, what will support you in believing what it is you want to believe. And we do this with real lived experiences. So we're not making anything up. We're not using affirmations. We're not doing fake it till you make it. We are literally transforming beliefs about ourselves that we value. So we can go from believing we are a failure to believing we are a success based on actual experiences we've had. And don't say that you've never had any successes. You have. I can prove it to you. And when you map that information into the structure of a belief that feels certain and solid about who you are, then you will immediately feel it. And then therefore your self-esteem goes up and you don't doubt yourself. If you want to see this in action, I'm going to show you where you can find a video that I do this with a client, and in real time you can see he's having these transformations, one transformation after another. What it comes down to is your identity is much more flexible than you realize. Your beliefs are much more flexible than you realize. They can be transformed when you know how. And you can live a life free of doubt for the rest of your life. I mean the bad doubts, not the good doubts. We need doubts. But you can transform yourself into the person you value by knowing your values and knowing how to transform your beliefs about yourself into your values. You can value happiness and then transform yourself into believing you are a happy person, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. In order to get this process started, you want to get that free PDF, and you want to elicit your values, really discover what those deeper values are that you probably weren't even aware of. And that process, what it does is it helps you connect deeply with those values. And now you know where to do the work. Now you start transforming those values into certain and solid beliefs about who you are. And then watch this video next so you can see me working with a real client doing exactly that process, eliciting values and then transforming one belief after another.